I'm Legend, I play this game professionally, so I can probably hit rank 1. So this is going to be a Secret Rogue against a Shaman, and overall, I think that this deck is actually better than I thought it was gonna be. We end up keeping the Ghastly Gravedigger and the Watcher of the Sun, because the Watcher of the Sun gives me Forge, which helps with Ignis, and the Ghastly Gravedigger is one of the only ways you can counter a combo deck. Basically, this allows you to send a card from their hand back to their deck, and if you hit something like Bioluminescence, or the thing that does 3 damage to the board, or Lightning Bolt, all of a sudden you're in a very good spot. We decided to play the Potion Bell and go for things that generate resources and draw cards, so that way I can draw into my Secrets and Private Eye more consistently, because the only way that the Gravedigger is activated is if we play a secret, or if we have a secret active at the time. They play Flash of Lightning, which I think is a little bit early. This actually makes me a little bit more confident in the matchup, because they're gonna need to have the second one in order to kill me by about turn, I wanna say turn 7, they're gonna need a second one. And on this turn, I'm considering playing the Ghoulish Alchemist, but I'm not actually gonna use the extra mana. So what's the point in playing the Ghoulish Alchemist if I'm just gonna leave 1 mana floating anyway? Yes, I get a 3/2 out there, but I would rather just kill off 1 minion and draw some cards and generate a resource. Hydrolodon was incredible though. They play Lightning Reflexes, another card that I'm like, why are they wasting all of these resources? Flash of Lightning is fine at this point because it was off of the Lightning Reflexes and they just want to get mana value out of it. But like, you want to save those Lightning Reflexes whenever you can until your big late game combo. I guess if they have nothing else in their hand to play, I guess it's not the worst. But overall, I do think that it's kind of a waste to play it at this stage of the game, especially considering I haven't really done anything yet. I play Hydrolodon, and now if they played Lightning Reflexes to try to find like 2 Lightning Storms or something, then maybe it would have been more relevant. But the way they played it, I don't think it was correct at all. They play Ancestral Knowledge, and at this point I'm like, if this Hydrolodon sticks on the board, that is a lot of good damage. And it looks like it's going to live? Okay, so it lives, it's awesome. And we thank God we draw a secret because they play their 3rd and hopefully final Flash of Lightning. We play the Ghastly Gravedigger and we hit freaking Bioluminescence. Crash of Thunder was the name of the other card. Actually, all 3 of those cards would have been fine to get rid of. Bioluminescence is by far the best one, but if you hit just like 1 of those cards, they're all fine because it limits their damage by about 9 to 17, depending on how many Bioluminescences they have. And I'm like, there's no way they have a second Bioluminescence. Are you kidding me? You had 2 Bioluminescences in your hand, that's insane, but I live with 5. So the game is still winnable. And I happen to have a Watcher of the Sun, which can heal me, and I get Shadow Step, which is pretty good as well. So I play Watcher of the Sun, and I get Boogie Down. Completely and totally useless, but that's fine. I think they don't have that much more damage in their hand, because if they did, they would have used it last turn. But we Shadow Step it, and we try to generate another card. And we hit fucking Consecrate. And at this point, I'm like, game's over. First of all, I do still want to Shadow Step the 2/3 again to heal up. Even though I could have used it for something a little bit more valuable, I do think that healing up that little bit more, getting out of the range of potential OTK is more important. So I'm very happy that we were able to heal up. And we still have 1 more Shadow Step in the deck if we need it. But at this point, I'm like, okay, the game should be over, but they still got a Titan minion to draw them cards. They've still got the Legendary that gets rid of Overload Mana Crystals and draws cards. They do still have another Bioluminescence, Lightning Bolt, and at least 1 Crash of Thunder. They also play Prescience, which means that they have a couple more big minions in their deck because they're running the version with things from below. But luckily I had an Explosive Runes to kill off that 5/5, which was nice. And at this point, I don't really know what to do here, because I don't know if I need to play around a combo, or if I need to just start playing more aggressively myself. So I decided to trade away the Shard of Naru for just an extra option, and since I don't find anything particularly good there, I decide to just play the Concoctor to finish my potion, just to see what I can get. So I'm able to kill that minion off. I have 3 mana left over. I play the Ghoul, and I'm actually not gonna play the potion this turn. I'm just gonna make it free for a future turn, because there isn't really a minion that I wanna kill, and there aren't really cards I wanna draw for yet. Then they play the Titan minion, and they draw the 3 Overload cards, literally like the thing I was most worried about. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, well, Mixed Concoction has to hit the 5/7, right? Like, it's the only way that I win. If it doesn't hit, then I guess I lose. It's also free, so it activates the private eye, and it's the oh my god, it hits the 5/7. Oh my gosh, actually, like, I sit down in my chair. I'm standing at this point, so like it looks like I fell, but no, I just sat down in my chair and lose my mind for a second. I decided to take the 5 mana weapon here, and I'm hoping for gain armor. We don't get gain armor though. So instead we take the thing that gives us a 4/4 whenever, no, we do get 4 armor. I'm thinking of a different game. No spoilers. But we do get the 4 armor to try to get us out of OTK range. That is the thing that we were in fact looking for. And we get to gain more armor off of Astralore, heal up a little bit more with the Watcher. And they play Queen of Shard, which I think is super duper weird. Like, running cards like that, and I feel like Thing from Below and Prescience just makes the deck as a whole less efficient and less consistent. But maybe I'm wrong, maybe they know something that I don't, but overall, not really too worried about this at that point. We get a secret, which is unfortunate because I don't want to draw secrets. I want to get the secrets off of the private eye, but we still have 2 in the deck, so it's not that big of a deal. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, do I want to heal up and gain armor, or do I want to try to kill something off? We get Starlight Groove. This is very important because against the combo deck that has like 3 high damage spells, they play like Lightning Bolt for 9 damage. Blocking 9 damage with Starlight Groove is pretty freaking incredible. And with the last little bit of mana, I play the Ghoulish Alchemist just because I think it might be good if we get potions later on, mana cheat later on down the road. There's no reason to play the sticky situations because I want to save it in case I draw the other Ghastly Gravedigger anyway. They play Prescience and they're starting to flood the board. Holy Nova kills off some stuff. And at this point, I'm a little bit worried because their board is quite significant at this point. We draw Serrated Bone Spike, which is nice, but at this point I'm like, okay, I can't kill all of their minions, so the Divine Shield is not going to be as useful, but they only have 5 cards left in their hand, so maybe 32 HP, possibly a little bit more, might still be worth it. I hit the 5/5 with my weapon because I've got Divine Shield, so it's not like I end up taking the damage anyway, and it cleaves the 2 1/1s on either side. So ready to Bone Spike the 5/2, play Private Eye to thin out my deck and get some secrets out there, and with the little bit of extra mana I have, I play Astralore to gain even more armor and survivability. At this point, I'm at 41 HP. I feel like there's no way the opponent can kill me, right? 0% chance. And they play Lightning Reflexes and they have 10 mana, and I realize, wait a minute, there's a world where they could kill me here. They play Lightning Storm to do some initial damage, and it gives them another spell. But they haven't played Bioluminescence yet, and I feel okay. Like, maybe it's just a false sense of security, maybe. That I feel okay. They play Command of Neptulon, which they are some decent minions, but it's not an OTK. It's not like I'm about to like lose here or anything. And then they leave the game. They realize that they're not able to kill everything. They don't have enough cards in hand to win. And so I just play Shard and Naru, silence everything, play Astralore, and kill them. I don't actually know if this would have changed anything. I actually hit their minion. So that way I do cleave damage, that way Astralore guarantees the kill as opposed to leaving it up to like a little bit of RNG. And overall, we have a good first game. Next up, we're against a Rogue, and we keep Private Eye and the Serrated Bone Spike because Serrated Bone Spike is just good if it ends up being aggro Rogue, and Private Eye with the coin is usually a good turn 3 play. They play the Drone Deconstructor, and it makes me actually a little bit tilted and mad at this point because I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a Mech Rogue. I know it was nerfed, but it still just really annoys me. And on turn 2, I just decide to hero power and hit the 1/1. I think about playing the Ghoulish Alchemist because it's good value, but if it is Mech Rogue and they have a mech on the board and they're able to magnetic something to it, the game will be over pretty much immediately. So I decided to kill the minion to limit that. Then they summon 2 3-drops, and I'm not really that worried because one of them is not that good. I kill off that totem. I kill off the other totem, and then the 1/5 gets extra attack when they draw cards, but honestly, I don't think that the Rogue is gonna draw that many cards. We get 1 secret to activate, and at this point, I'm pretty happy. I realize that they're going the slightly slower version of Rogue. It's big Rogue, big Death Rattle Rogue with a couple of big Death Rattle mechs. And I'm thinking, do I want to kill the 4/4 right now? And I actually don't want the 4/4 to die. I want to summon minions on the board so that way I can apply some pressure. We go Ghoulish Alchemist. We're going to kill the 1/5. And at this point, the 4/4 doesn't die. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to let him get a minion into his hand, kill the Death Rattle card on my own terms, and then whatever he gets, bounce it back into their deck with the Ghastly Gravedigger. That's the plan. Also, we decide to take the dreadful potion, the one that kills a minion, because if they do happen to get 1 or 2 big mech minions, it would be nice to be able to kill at least one of them. Putricide here is very good because there are so many minions we can trade into and kill. We kill the 4/3, and then we kill the 3/2 and have my minions live. And I'm thinking about letting Putricide stay on the board and die, but then I decide to Shadow Step it so I can maybe use him a little bit later. I just think that, you know, might be important going forward. And then we draw some cards and get a reduced cost card. Fires of Zinjari though, absolutely useless. We're never gonna play that. It's now just a dead card in my hand. Basically, my hand size is now 9 at the most because, well, one of these cards is probably the worst card I could have randomly generated. And at this point, I'm like, okay, they can trade their 4/2 into the minion on their own terms, but they don't do that. They decide to go wide, play a couple of extra minions, and I'm a little bit confused. Luckily, we top deck Astalor, and we are able to kill off the 2/5. We play Putricide here, and I'm not 100% convinced that it's the correct play. In fact, I think it might be wrong because it makes Putricide vulnerable on the board. And I think about playing the Destroy a Random Minion card, and then I realize I definitely should not, under any circumstances, do that. If I do that, it's very likely that if they get a big minion, I'm not able to kill it down the road. So instead, I forge the minion, and I heal 6 and get myself a Holy Spell. Holy Smite is not that bad, but I do at this point regret playing Putricide a little bit because I only killed 1 minion. In my head, I was gonna kill more. I was gonna kill at least 1 or 2 more, but then I realized that I just didn't have the resources to do that. But then they misplay by sending their 3/2 into my 2/3 first on accident, or their 4/2 into it. They give me an extra potion. It's not a big deal. It basically gives me 1 extra card from another class, but I don't even think I play it this game, so it's pretty much irrelevant, but they did trade in the wrong order. So, this is the turn where I know I'm going to kill the 4/2 Death Rattle minion, and whatever he has in his hand, we want to send it back. So, we trade, we actually Holy Smite, I think, the 4/2, in case we want to Shadow Step Astalor. We want to keep our options open. And they get the Student of the Stars, actually a useless card. Pretty happy about that. But we get rid of Lab Constructor because I feel like if they are able to get another minion out there and snowball, the Lab Constructor is the most dangerous card that it could possibly be. So I would rather let them have a 4/4 minion for free than the ability to snowball and win the game at any given point if they just draw a mech minion. So they trade there, and then they do in fact get their big boy, the Containment Unit. That is the card we've been trying to play around this whole time, and then they magnetic something to it. And this is literally what we have been holding the Destroy a Minion for. I decided to go Counterspell here because I think the other 2 cards are a little bit worse, and usually the Mage Secrets are just more value. We get Potion. We're looking for deal 3 damage and destroy a minion. Unfortunately, we just get deal 3 damage, but so we kill that off. We will use the Mixed Concoction to kill off the 8/7. Again, if we had gotten another destroy a minion, they wouldn't have this 8/8 on the board. We low rolled a little bit on the potions we got offered, but I've got 26 HP. They're down to top decks. And then the Counterspell comes in so clutch here. They would have drawn 3 cards for 1 mana, and the game would possibly have just been over after that. Very happy that I win Counterspell there. And at this point, I go Ignis for 10 mana. I think about it for a little bit, but I go 10 mana, win Fury, and go for armor gain, because I'm like, if they can't kill me next turn and I gain this much armor, they just lose. I've got good stats on the board. I prep out Perjury so that way I can hopefully get like another objection or counterspell as soon as possible, and I think they just end up leaving the game here. Yes, they do. Overall, I think a pretty well played game. So, this game we are against a Warlock, and the only card I keep is Potion Belt. Krakatoa is a little bit too slow, and you don't usually want to keep secrets in your opening hand. We do have the Private Eye, which is nice. We don't have the Coin, which is a little bit unfortunate, and we've already drawn a secret at this point, which means that having 2 Private Eyes is going to be less beneficial than having 2 if I hadn't drawn a secret. I take Objection just because I know Objection's pretty good. I use Potions to try to get the Destroy a Minion, just in case they end up playing like Thaddeus and cheating that out early. And early on, I'm pretty worried. They have Forge of Wills, and I have Objection. And I'm like, okay, if they play the 7/7, I'm fine. It doesn't really matter too much. Again, we go for Destroy a Minion plus a bonus effect because we'll probably have to kill a big minion. And thank goodness we Objection the 7/7. Okay, I already knew that was a possibility. I already knew. And we're gonna do this to try to get rid of the slime. We don't hit the slime, and people ask me why I didn't get rid of Sargeras here. I get rid of Watcher of the Sun. I get rid of it because if they get to the point where they're playing Sargeras for 9 mana, I've probably already lost the game. So I might as well get rid of the heal card that helps them get to that late game so I can maybe tempo them out and just kill them. They make a 4/8 and they rush into my minion, and at this point I'm a little bit worried, but I decide to destroy a minion and I get lucky hitting the one that I do. Very, very lucky there. At this point, I'm not sure if I should have gone with destroy a minion and draw cards, or destroy a minion and get, you know, a card from a random class. I like getting a card from a random class though, because sometimes it can win me the game, and I didn't really think any of my individual cards in my deck, except maybe Prison of Yogg-Saron and Ignis, would actually help me in this matchup at this point. Like, even Ignis, if they get a big Thaddeus out there, it's not really gonna do much, right? I'm gonna gain some armor, maybe kill it if it has poisonous, but it's still kind of rough. Anyway, we prep out Queen Ashara because we have the mana to now play her, and instead of going, well, we end up going the Colossal Minions, and this is actually the game where I realize Colossal isn't always the correct choice. I end up playing it though because since I have the Shadow of Demise, I'll get a second Colossal Minion, but it's actually kind of a misplay. I'm debating whether or not to play the Leviathan, and because I know I need to rush them down, I play it. Even though in my head I know it's wrong, I'm like, this matchup isn't good for me. And if I can kill them in the next couple of turns and they can't destroy the Leviathan this turn, because Sargeras, they can't play it. Like, if I play the Leviathan later, Sargeras is just going to destroy it with his Twisting Nether card. In theory, it would have been nice to have these minions on the board. In practice, though, it looks like they're able to just completely wipe the board, heal up, and get a Leviathan of their own, which is definitely not great. We end up getting Ozama, which is another kind of bad Colossal, and this is another thing, like if you're playing against a Warlock that has really good individual single target removal, or just anything with reverberations, don't go for the Colossal Minion. I learned this against a Mage as well. Just don't take the Colossal Minion against decks with reverberations. I ended up losing a game to a Mage because they stole my, I think it was also a Leviathan, but no, it was Gaia. I used Gaia to wipe their board, and I had a board, and then they reverberated my Gaia, wiped my board, and then all of a sudden, the game was kind of doomed after that. So, point is, don't use Colossal Minions because, again, they reverberations again. I really did not expect them to have both, but I guess it happens, and this is so much worse to happen for me because they're gonna kill off their own Ozamat, wipe my tentacles, and by the time my Ozamat's effect goes off, there are only 2 minions left to kill. Luckily, their board is now full of 1/3s though, so it's actually not the worst thing in the world, and we take another Objection here in case they want to play a big minion. We know they have Sargeras in their hand going into turn 9, so it feels pretty alright to me. We go Yogg and target their face, just hoping to get some sort of damage, right? I don't know. I don't really have that many other like good win conditions at this point, so I think going face is probably best. And we end up just playing the Poisonous Minion because I don't think he wants to trade into my Poisonous Minion. And if it lives, we can put magnetic stuff on it. But I don't know. If he kills it, it sucks, but I kill a minion in response. Or he doesn't kill it. I guess it plays into Defile pretty hard, but again, my board isn't that impressive, and if he decides to Defile this turn, and he doesn't play something big, then like, I'm fine with that. They play a Flesh Behemoth, which basically just loses them the game. And here's another thing about playing into Defile. I feel like it's not that big of a deal. Because, again, in a matchup like this where I'm probably already going to lose because they just outvalue me, I need to try to go for high rolls. I need to just hope they don't have removal on certain turns and try to go for the things that give me the most damage, like putting Wind Fury on this 1/1 and going face for as much damage as humanly possible. Like, in theory, some of these plays might not always be the best on paper, but considering the matchup and knowing that I probably lose if the game goes long anyway, I've got to make suboptimal plays to put pressure on the board to maybe win the game. And yeah, they have 10 mana at this point. Could be Thaddeus into an 11/11 rush minion. I'm a little bit worried. Could be Sargeras now that Objection's gone. But I'm actually kind of hoping it's Sargeras, because if it is, and that's his whole play, I could maybe get some direct damage somehow. I can Yogg-Saron on his face. I can play Astalor maybe. Like, there are things I could do to possibly win the game if all he does is play Sargeras here and doesn't heal up. And that is exactly what ends up happening. He ends up eating everything. I forgot that he still had a location, so him getting the 6/12 rush minion is actually pretty problematic. But hopefully we'll be able to deal with it. So we target his face and we just see what happens. We get a little bit of damage, and then we get more damage, and then we get 2 useless cards. But doing 6 damage to his face actually puts me in a range to kill him, although I don't 100% see it yet. But the way that I can do it is I can prep out, destroy a minion, just hope it hits one of the 6/12s. Either one of them is fine. And we hit the better 6/12, which is just insane. And then we play Astalor and win. We had a little bit more damage potentially with our weapon, and maybe shadow stepping Astalor to play him again, but lethal is lethal. So in the end, I climbed from 472 legend to 393 legend. Overall, I like this deck more than I thought I would. And is it good? I would say yes. There are better decks out there for sure, but if you want to play Rogue and not just play like Mech Rogue or something, this is definitely a viable option. A lot of resource generation, a decent amount of RNG, but a lot of fun and some decent counterplay to stop combo decks too.